Welcome to the latest Watercolors Aquarium Gallery podcast, brought to you from the Aquarium Rush Studios in beautiful, chilly, dark gray Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hey, we saw the sun today.
We did, briefly.
Yeah, like 10 whole minutes.
It said hi and then peaced out.
Yeah, it's cold here in Michigan right now. That's why we decided we're going to talk about fun things. My name is Ben.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Charles.
Before we talk about fun things, you know what time it is?
More fun things?
Very fun things.
Shameless plug.
Yes, please shop at watercolorsaquariumgallery.com. We have t-shirts, we have stuff you need for your tank, and we have cool stickers and plants and stuff too. Whatever
Very
we can
cool
think to
plants.
put up there.
A lot of plants that were grown here at the gallery.
Yeah, I don't know why no one's biting on those Eriocolons. I think they look stunning.
They're awesome. I might have to take one. Mm-hmm. Get them while they last, folks.
And they've been flowering like crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Who doesn't want that?
I know, right? All right, there we go. Shameless plug over.
Anywho, we don't have coral up on the website, but we're going to talk about saltwater tanks today, right?
We are, yes. Not just any saltwater tank, but those tanks that... All right, so here's how I'm doing my list. All right, the topic of discussion today is the top 5 best saltwater fish pets. For me, that means the tank is designed around that fish. Mm-hmm. And it's a fish that you develop a specific personal relationship with.
Yeah. Our studio audience has opinions on what should be on the list.
Right.
I'm just going to tell her, no, there are no puffers on the list just for you. We'll see.
Don't worry, Allie, they're on my list. No, for what I did is kind of what I did. You may have heard our talk last week on the freshwater version. So I kind of went the same direction, although I didn't have quite as many examples of fish that I named. So I'm going to start out with the ones that I named and see where we end up from there.
Yeah, so I'm going to read back my criteria on the last one just so, because I used pretty similar for this one, but it's a little bit different. So my qualifications last time were interactive, outgoing, singular, and human-focused. So if it's not the only fish or the fish that the tank was designed around, that fish better be a focal point in that tank.
True. And, honestly, some of the fish on my list meet that criteria.
Right.
Yep. There were other fish in the tank. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Charles?
Fish that I wanted to talk about, I guess. I don't know.
Mine ended up being a lot of fish that have stuck around for a long time and are really hard to sell here.
It's
I don't know if it's just because I got to know them better or because often they don't fit into the same scenarios as other fish do.
My all-time favorite saltwater pet fish might have even been my all-time favorite pet fish is one of those. Mm-hmm. One that we took in as a rescue because it's one that shouldn't even be in the hobby. We didn't even talk about it as in some of our podcasts about fish that don't belong in the hobby because you hardly ever see them in the hobby anymore because they just don't belong in the hobby. We ended up with one. He was cool. So that one's on my list.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
All right. I'm trying to decide.
It'll be fun and sad, though. Mm-hmm.
I think I know which story that is.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of them.
All right. I'm going to start with something that... So I was trying to figure out, because big cichlids are the quintessential freshwater pet fish.
Right.
They're the one that you think about. And I'm like, what is the equivalent in saltwater? Angelfish have the personality, mm-hmm. They have the intelligence, but that's not really it. What is the adjacent to an Oscar? And the fish that I came up with was the Miniatus grouper.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, for sure.
They're not fearless. Yeah. They're actually major wimps, but to mm-hmm. me, that's part of their charm. Mm-hmm. Just like an Oscar, where they're going to go down and sulk down in the bottom of the tank. They're going to give you the side eye when they think you might be given something. I loved our grouper when we had him. He was a blast to work with, and you saw him about 10% of the time sometimes in that tank.
But he would come out and
interact. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was a blast.
When I was in the Keys, I caught a baby grouper.
Aw.
That was about 1.5 inches long. If you'd have put him up next to a baby Oscar the same size, you would have had a hard time telling them apart, both in the look and in personality.
Yeah, just that demeanor that they have.
Yep. Groupers definitely fit that, and they can be trained. They're really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're gorgeous. Like, I don't hear the small groupers being talked about that much other than the marine betta, which is just so shy.
Right.
These guys get about a foot long, so a 125 planned around them I think would be fine. But really, it'd probably be better to be a little bigger because you're going to put other stuff in there too.
Right.
But
yeah, they would fit in that tank, be just fine. They can take, well, they'll eat just about anything.
Yes, that's actually how we lost ours. I think he choked, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
His jaw was like broken open.
Oh, yeah.
So he must have tried to eat something he shouldn't have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is a fish that would get that. It was like 6 inches long and it would eat 4-inch silver sides that it couldn't even fit in its stomach. He'd just like leave them sticking out of his mouth until he could swallow them.
Just like an Oscar.
What a blast.
Yeah. I think you can maybe even say just about any grouper.
Yeah.
One of our late favorite service customers, Mr. Johnson, had a bumblebee grouper named Harley.
Aw.
He had, I bet his entire system was close to 3,000 gallons. And his nitrates were through the roof because Harley would look at him and Mr. Johnson would just go, I just can't resist that fish. I watched him feed Harley one time and oh man, Harley was close
like
to
a pound of shrimp it had
easily,
to be.
Yeah. Harley was close to 28 inches long.
Wow.
Yep. He was a monster.
Oh, I bet he was so beautiful
He was
though.
so cool. Gorgeous.
I don't know too many of the other. Well, a 24-inch grouper is a small grouper, so there's Miniatus, there's Polani, which is another smaller one.
I bet there's 20 of them.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's lots of groupers that fit into that category, and many of them that are going to stay in the 10-inch range.
Interesting.
The V-tail is a perfect, like, I want a pet fish, I want a grouper, but I don't want something big. Put a V-tail on a 75-gallon tank, it'd be just fine.
Really?
Yeah.
How big do those
priced.
get?
About maybe 10 inches, 12
Okay.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody seems to want to go tangs for their big fish. But the limitation really here is you can't have shrimp.
Or little fish.
Yeah, or little fish.
Yeah. Or medium-sized fish. Or, any fish that might fit in the grouper's mouth. So,
But there are a lot of
it's
fish on
definitely
my
limited.
list that are like that too.
The pet fish thing, I think it kind of makes that happen.
It does, totally.
Yeah, agreed. Charles, you have had some pet fish as of late.
Yeah.
Are some of those on your list?
Maybe eventually.
Maybe eventually.
But he wants to start with something different.
I do, actually.
It's not going to be some like touchy-feely nonsense like last time, is it?
No. This one is actually like, I have personally never actually kept this species, but the species adjacent to it I've worked with makes me think this one would probably be better to work with. Epaulet sharks.
Oh, yeah.
From everything I know working with bamboo sharks and wobbegong sharks, epaulets seem to be this butter zone where they take everything that's like good about like what makes keeping those kind of sharks easier, I guess, to keep in a home aquarium and then makes them even more accessible.
Yeah, because they're even smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're even smaller, but also they're a tide pool shark.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the big advantage of bamboo sharks is they're really good at maneuvering in tight spaces because they would live in the reef.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas epaulets are even more constraining in their natural environment. So a tank to them is just like same old.
Of all of the fish that deserve the attention and deserve their own thing, any shark and an epaulet, I as much as I love our sharks, I think they're amazing, and I wouldn't trade them for an epaulet. If we'd have started with an epaulet, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
I think they're a holy grail fish for me.
Absolutely.
Yep. Were you here when we had that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
The little itty bitty baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, we did have somebody special order one. We brought it in. We got it trained on frozen food, got it eating really well, made sure it was healthy, and then it went home to a happy place.
If you have never seen a baby epaulet shark, I highly recommend you look up. The Tennessee Aquarium has a video on their YouTube channel from when they had a bunch of babies of them. Oh my God.
They are cute.
Cute.
Yes.
And sharks aren't just like a cool, badass fish to show off. They are a pet fish. They will know who you are. They will respond to you individually. They will seek you out, not just for food, but for attention, for social interaction, for love. Like
whatever their version of it is.
Right.
Yeah.
The more we have like gotten our group of bamboo sharks to want attention from us, the more they've opened to us, the more I've realized, man, the closest analogy I have to them is they're very cat-like. Like they have days where they're like, no, I want all the attention. And they have days where they're like, I don't know, swimming to the top of the tank seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't speak for sharks that aren't bamboo sharks, but I would imagine that at least for the sharks that share similar lifestyles, it's going to be pretty similar.
Yes. The smallest of the epaulet sharks, I think, would be just fine. For sure, you could get away with a 180, maybe even down to a 120.
Yeah.
That 48 by 24 footprint.
The quote unquote base epaulet shark, which would be Helmscilium ocellatum, they can get fairly sizable. They're close to like 40 inches in some cases. But the other species, like the Hallströms, they max out at about 26 inches, and that's like max size.
So I would put that in. To me, a 48 by 30 inch footprint would be the bomb for that. That.
Yeah, I think we've like mathed it out as like at least as wide as they are long, and at least 2 to 3 times the length, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's true.
But like physical space isn't, to me, the limitation on sharks. It's mass. They are big fish, and they create as much waste as big fish do. So even in our bigger system, we still have to keep on top of those 3-foot fish.
Yeah. 4 sharks in what I think we mathed it out to like a 1,500 gallon system.
No, it's 22, isn't it?
Either way,
Yeah.
still that's a lot of biomass for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably something that we should mention right away.
Right. Because
With a lot of these, the big groupers.
like the 180 has enough physical space for them, but do you have enough physical energy to take care of it?
Yeah, I want to see a 50-gallon water changer hooked up to that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and that system totally justifies as much cool auto water change or whatever stuff you can put on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Totally. Yeah.
Someday an epaulet shark. Someday. Yep,
Yeah. Sharks definitely had to be mentioned.
for sure. For sure. We have to pay homage. This
This is the first time we've talked about it
I
in the
know.
podcast. I'm going to get a little emotional.
Yeah, me too. We had our 3 bamboo sharks in our 360-gallon aquarium that we were just talking about. And about 2 months ago, while we were all here, Pi, the feisty little male, pushed his way through one of the tops and jumped out. We saw it happen. And quickly got him back in the tank and went, wow, that was amazing, and got a bunch of covers on the tank and got some support things to keep the covers in place, and thought that would be just fine.
Oh, we also weighed them down, 20 pounds per lid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We thought we had done everything right. I came in a couple of weeks ago and found Pi on the floor. Pi was my friend.
He was everybody's friend. That was the fish. If you come and met our sharks, he was probably the one that gave you the strongest impression.
Right.
He would have come up to see you every single time. Doesn't matter who you were.
Yep. You could take someone who would be like, ooh, sharks, they're scary, and go, no, they're not. You want to pet one? And Pi would come up to the surface over and over again so that you could pet him. Mm-hmm. He was good. I miss that guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just another example of we learn, we keep moving forward.
Yeah, we let him down. It was we thought we did it right and we didn't, and that's something that we have to own and keep figuring out how to do better.
Yeah. It was once he figured out he could, he was so smart and determined that he was going to.
Yeah.
The only thing I think we could have done was thicker, bigger lids. Like
I think so.
Commission something different.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I brought it down a notch. So I'm going to say Pi as one of my top 5. I'm just because he's worth talking about.
He's one of the most special fish we've ever had. I think.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. All right, Amy, bring us back up, okay?
right.
Because that was that was sad. We missed pie.
Take a drink for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's choose a fun one. Okay. So this one's going to be kind of a similar situation to the grouper. Similar sizing, completely different lifestyle. So I've only interacted with 2 of this species, each one of them incredibly notable and memorable. The first one I think we had it for a few months, and I was able to get it to pretty decent target training, set up some puzzle feeders. He was able to solve it pretty much every time. Just kind of one of those really smart, really interested in you fish. Put a harlequin tuskgrass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think 10 to 12 inches is pretty normal for them. So another 125, 180.
Yep.
But the intelligence and weird behavior of this fish never stopped amusing me.
They are super cool.
You would swim upside down to get your attention sometimes. Like, you'd walk back
Right.
and he'd, like, flip upside down and be looking at you like, what are you doing? Just weird stuff.
This was a fish that when I first started working here, I was very skeptical of, and Ben and Amy were both like, no, it's cool. And the one we got in pretty quick after you guys were like, no, they're cool. Man, that individual in particular was probably one of the smartest fish I have ever been in a room with.
Yeah.
That fish could figure things out.
Oh, yeah. But then it also had the instinct. Were you there when it took down the chromis?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't in the room, but I was upstairs and I heard you guys
Oh, man. So this one that we had for a while, we were taking care of a group of fish for somebody, and it was a group of fish that had been living together for 8, 9, 10 months, and it was a smaller tusk, probably in the 5-inch range, and there was some decent sized green chromis with it, and somebody walked by the tank a little bit fast, and it startled the chromis, and they did that dart flash thing, and the tusk, I don't think it could have not done it. Like, its instinct kicked in and bam, it took the chromis.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was thinking, this is an opportunity. It was
Right.
by the time it thought about it, it was over.
Like he just got smacked in the knee with a hammer, and kicked the doctor in the face. I mean, that's
Amazing.
just boom. Yeah, it was incredible. The speed and the accuracy and the instinct of that fish was crazy. It was cool.
Tuskgrasses, as a large overall group, are pretty notable behaviorally because they're the poster childs for tool use in fish.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
this species, but some of the bigger ones.
Right. Right.
So they have that little seed of just being super crafty and figuring stuff out. No shrimp.
no shrimp.
No shrimp.
Be careful with smaller fish.
Yeah.
Be careful with fish that are half their size in the case of this chromis
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful with your fingers and hands in that tank sometimes because
They have tusks.
They have tusks.
They're sharp, pointy teeth. They're
Yeah.
designed for prying, not necessarily for biting, but that doesn't mean they're not sharp.
and doesn't mean they're not capable of biting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'll pry a crab off of the rock type of teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. I miss it. If we could ever sell them, I would say
know,
we should
right?
have them in all the time.
It's so hard with all of these fish that we love to keep around, but we gotta be able to sell them.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people that think they want a tusk or think they want a grouper, but don't really want a tusk or a grouper because they want other fish.
Right.
They're limiting.
That's how
Yep.
I feel about puffers in particular.
Yes.
Yes. At least now, if we were like, all right, the tusk, the grouper, we're planning out a great 180. We
Yeah.
can still have coral. It can still be gorgeous,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No clownfish.
no clownfish, just big fish.
Yep.
But you can still have a lot of fun with it. You get really limited with some of those corallivores.
Yes. Yes. True. I like it. Good one. What you got, Charles?
A lawnmower blenny.
The grumpy old man fish.
You could really say any blenny almost, but I get why you chose this one.
The lawnmower blenny in particular is notable to me because my mom had one that we were feeding nori on an algae clip. And if it was hungry and the clip was empty, it would swing on it. So it would go on the glass.
Knock, knock. Hello. Did you know I'm starving?
Yeah. We always pictured him being like, waiter.
Cinderella. Just ringing the bell.
Good.
And I don't have much more to say about that fish, but that was like, I don't remember a lot of my mom's original reef tank, but I remember that fish.
It's the eyes on those fish.
Yeah.
And the eyebrows.
The eyebrows. That's it. It's the eyebrows. Yep. They kind of look like an old man who's like the long gray rogue eyebrows that kind of go nuts. Yeah.
That's such a great example for pet fish because it's the one that before they buy it, they're like, well, it's brown, but I know it will do a job.
Right.
And then a month later, they're like, oh, yeah, Herman? You know him? He was giving me sass yesterday.
Yeah.
I also just got like infinite childish delight from, because, I was a child at the time, of him. Like the way they eat algae off of rocks basically just looks like he's going around headbutting everything.
Yeah.
Is it food?
What a Chad.
That's a very reasonable fish too. You don't need 25 gallons and big enough for a lawnmower plenty. As long as it's growing a little bit of algae and you provide it plenty of nori.
Yeah. They starve in a lot of tanks.
They do.
That's their only negative to me is that it takes a lot to feed them.
Yep.
They can get out competed very, very easily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blennies can in general. I had tail spot as one of my alternates, but I'm glad we approached blennies in general.
I think the grumpy old man fish kind of covers it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys about mango? I'm sure I told you. As soon as I tell you the stories about
Yeah,
mango,
you gotta have.
that's what's going to count.
I don't remember that name, though.
Mango was a Flamingi tang, and he was just about 10 or 12 inches long, and we kept him in a 180-gallon tank. The thing was a garbage can. You could throw anything in there, and he would devour it. All kinds of macroalgae that other fish would like, I ain't eating that. He would just devour. But the funnest thing about Mango is he's the first fish I figured out liked to be petted.
Oh, nice.
And we figured it out completely on accident. We were foraging around in the tank, and Mango came and brushed up against my hand. But that was interesting. And then he did it again. And then he did it again. So the next time he did it, I reached over and I gave him a little scratch. And he turned on his side so that you could give him a little bit more of a scratch. He then got to the point where when you put your hand in the tank, he would come darting up from the bottom and kind of lunge into your hand so that you could pet him. So I decided to see just how far I could take this, because this fish would, like, if your hands were in the tank, you had a hard time working in the tank. It's like that cat when you're trying to type on a keyboard and keeps pushing your hands out of the way so that that is exactly what Mango would do constantly. So I thought, I wonder what he'd do if I would grab onto him. And so I did. And he just sat there and didn't struggle, didn't do anything. And it's not like I grabbed, like I held him and played submarine with him around the tank. Yeah. And then let go to see, like, okay, did that just piss him off? No. Circled right back around, right back into my hand again. And I thought again, I wonder how far I could take this. So I gently picked him up and took him out of the water. And he looked at me like, hey, dude, what's up? Put him back in the water.
This is weird, but okay.
Let go. And he did the same thing. He swam back around, immediately swam back into my hand. It got to the point where I could put my hand in the tank and say, hey, do you want to feel what a tang feels like? And I would take him out, and people would pet him and touch him, and I'd put him back in the tank, and he'd turn around and go, hi, can I have some more?
Aw.
Mango was very cool. So a Flamingi tang. And by the way, I have heard of other people having similar experiences with Flamingi tangs. One of our wholesalers used to have one that they actually had to move him from tank to tank because they couldn't photograph the coral in the tank. I can't remember what that fish's name was, but that fish would photobomb constantly. So they had to keep moving the fish around so they could get pictures of the coral in the tank. So flamingo tangs have that. Now this is a tang that's going to get 18 inches long. So 180 is absolute minimum, and really more like an 8-foot tank for a tang.
Yeah.
Like that.
When we're talking about pet fish, often you give not necessarily a smaller tank size, but it's with the intention that it's designed specifically for them, and you're
Yes.
fulfilling their extra needs that aren't going to be solved by a bigger tank.
Right.
So like if they
Right.
want interaction or like enrichment or stimulation, that's on you unless you have the 300 or 400 gallon tank.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way to say it too. Yeah, and Mango definitely had that. We lost Mango in the fire.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yep.
I did remember that story now that you had told it, but I did not know that piece of it.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Just side note for the fire thing, that was before I owned the business. God, we're going on close to 15 years now. A fire started from a light fixture from a certain brand. It was a power compact light fixture. I don't do power compacts anymore because no one does. And I don't carry anything from that particular company. But I'm not going to mention what company that is. But power compact lights, yeah. Fire started when the light was off.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's even
really
more
bad.
disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that was Mango. He was cool. We had him for a long time. That one, lots of things died in that fire. So it was rough, but
It's a tragedy all around,
Yeah.
but
Trying to think, because I imagine you might talk about it later. Is this how the one really tall fish kicked it too?
no.
Okay.
that's a sadder story.
It's a sadder story.
No.
I know. I don't want to have all these sad stories. So I was going to tell that one next, but I needed to,
Not
recover.
to bring it down to that level, but
Yeah.
Pi used to kind of do that thing too,
I know.
where he would come up and then you could like hold him for a second and then you could shoot him like a paper airplane.
Yeah.
and then he'd just come,
He'd
back, for another
more.
one.
Oh,
Cool, give me a boost.
that guy was cool.
What a sweetheart.
I miss him.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about the fish that wants to do that, but then you have to tell it no. Because I've decided to bring up foxface. I've met so many foxface that are just desperate to be pet or held.
Yeah.
And
Don't.
nope, sorry.
No.
Not worth it, bud.
Kind of like your friendly neighborhood porcupine, only with
Right. Only that can hurt you really, really bad.
So for those not in the know, fox faces are venomous.
yes, venomous dorsal spines.
I think it's a similar effect to a lionfish, right?
It
Where
is,
it's just,
yeah.
it hurts really, really bad.
I have been told by no one who did a scientific study that it is more painful than a lionfish sting.
Interesting.
Yes.
I have been told that by someone who was actually stung by both bees and a lionfish that the lionfish is worse.
Worse than the foxface or worse than a bee?
Worse than a bee. So I'm
Oh,
just
yes.
so
Oh,
I'm
yes.
just giving like a lineage of like
Yeah.
bee,
Yeah.
lionfish, foxface.
Yeah. One of our service techs back in the day got stung by a lionfish, and that was a bad day. Yeah. He was a tough guy most of the time. Yeah.
So-
That was a bad day. But fox faces.
Yes, they are super goofy, super entertaining. I like just the regular yellow fox face. I think that's Siganus vulpinus. They're some of the most dramatic fish that you can have. They're very expressive. So like it'll either come charging at you with its spines all the way up and you don't know if it's trying to attack you or trying to like get attention, or they will be laying on the ground looking and acting like a dead fish, and there's really no in between.
No, that's true. That about sums it up.
But either way, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I appreciate their commitment to whatever they're doing. It's dramatic.
It is 100% and you will know exactly what it is.
Yes. We had a fake coral decor in one of our fish-only systems, like one of our sales systems back in the day. And we had a fox face in there that would go wrap itself around the fake coral when it was trying to hide. And it totally looked like like a coral sculpture with a fish on it that you'd buy in a tourist trap store down in Florida. And like people would look at it and go, huh, there's nothing in there other than that fake coral. And then all of a sudden the eyes on the fish would like look at you.
He's like,
can't
they're
look back.
totally buying it.
It's working.
It's working. It's like a sculpture in a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Yeah, and then you hold up the algae sheet and it goes from mottled dead fish brown to bright yellow, like, this is what we're doing. Just as long as you're not trying to look at me.
I wouldn't have thought of a fox face, Amy, but that's a good one.
You know, Justin's actually is what triggered that. 'Cause
Really?
his was was and or is, I'm not sure, an absolute asshole. Like, it would attack anything that went in the tank and he couldn't bear himself to get rid of it.
Some of those fish, yeah. Just the name. I mean, it's not just a fox face. It's a fox face rabbit fish. That's silly.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it
it really
fits.
has a horse face.
It kind of does, yeah.
I don't get the rabbit thing at all. I don't
The
know.
whole group of fish is called rabbit fish.
Yeah, but do we know where that comes from?
No. Somebody at one point thought one of them looked like a rabbit.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, well, they did. And they named it, so, you know.
Yeah. So I guess they're
Get
right.
us, I guess.
Right.
They're a rabbit fish in that they can wipe out all of the greens from an area within 20 minutes.
Yeah. Or if they're in an orange spot, they can wipe out all of the zoanthids in like 20 minutes.
True.
Yeah. Lots of different rabbit fish out there. Some of them will eat coral. Some of them won't.
Yeah.
Some of them won't eat coral for a while and then say, you know what? I think coral's kind of tasty.
You know, I haven't been craving a potato salad in a long time. But today sounds really good. They are a really cool fish, and I feel like they don't get enough attention in the hobby.
At least compared to the tangs.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Because, like, as far as personality goes, rabbitfish just have it. Like, tangs don't even come close.
It's that fish that you add when you like, okay, I have room for one more fish.
I
Can't
already
do
have
another
4
tang.
tangs.
I can't do this. I guess I might as well add a fox face. They deserve the love.
Have you ever heard my story of the clown trigger?
Triggerfish had
Wow.
to get brought up.
Charles is the one bringing them up.
I
That's
know.
the surprise.
I'm impressed.
Got to hear this story then.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I worked at another fish store, and I would sometimes take care of people's tanks while they were on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
This particular client had a 300-gallon tank, probably larger, I don't know, at least 300, with a 21-inch clown trigger.
Jeez.
Wow.
Now, they told me he was friendly. They did not express to me how strongly that is true.
He insists on your friendship.
I stuck my hand in the tank, and this fish comes racing at me. And I had that same feeling where someone's like, no, my dog's friendly, as it's like running at you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're like, I don't know about that. So I pulled my hand out,
He likes you.
and he had this entire posture of like, what'd I do wrong? And I was like, and so this is a fish that's capable of taking an entire finger off, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
That fish comes at me, I'm worried about losing my hand.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of like, I'm in this house by myself and I have no one to goad me on. But this fish, like, every time I stuck my hand in the tank to do work, he would come racing at me, and then he would have that same posture. And then, like, I slowly built up the courage to kind of, like, trickle my fingers over the surface of the water to see what he would do. And he swam up and pointed his side at me. And he slowly, like, I could tell he's encouraging me in.
Yeah.
I took the time to, like, pet him while he was at the surface, and then he started working his way down until my entire arm was in the tank. And I'm petting him in the mid-water. And, like, you would pet him for a few minutes, and then you could do whatever you want, and then you could come back and say, hey, do you want more attention? And he had a great personality.
That's awesome. Triggerfish have that intelligent look to them, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had an undulated trigger. Like, well, okay, I never got to the point where I felt comfortable petting it. Or him or her, whatever it was. But it definitely fit the category of this is a pet fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our
Triggerfish-
sargassum would let me pet it.
Yeah? Those are good. We need to try one of those again. I like those guys.
Yeah, I really want it. we already can't put shrimp in our big display. It needs a trigger.
Okay.
That was a solid argument, by the way. But like, I really want to hone down how smart this fish was. This fish managed to figure out that I was uncomfortable, met me halfway, and then encouraged me back into the zone it actually wanted to be in.
Lured you in, so
Yeah.
take your arm off.
But like in the same way that you would look at a nervous animal and be like, you know what? Needs a little bit of time and patience. We got to work him up to this. He like had that assessment and was like, okay, fine. We'll do it your way.
I can't think of another animal in my entire life that has done that to me. Like, I've had dogs that are like, will meet you on your terms, but I've never had an animal that was like, okay, like I met you halfway. Now this is where I want you to go.
yeah.
That's so sweet. God, I love a trigger.
The clowns are gorgeous. I didn't know they even got 20 inches.
Supposedly they're capable of like 2 feet.
Wow, that's a big fish. I thought they were a 1 foot fish, but anyway.
It's not one we really deal with very often because coral, right?
Yeah, coral. And shrimp and yeah. You know, undulated triggerfish, you know what their specialized diet is?
No.
Lionfish.
That is so cool.
That's pretty badass.
That's
Yeah.
really dope.
Yeah. And what they do, because this is how smart triggers are, is they'll come at it at the front like 3 or 4 times and then wave off right at the last minute before the spines. But they always wave off up.
Oh.
Right. Up. And then when it's time, instead of waving off up, they wave off down
Oh, that's so smart.
and rip out their bellies.
So
What a strategy.
yeah, just so only the dorsal spines in lionfish are venomous. So that is
Right.
really cool.
Yeah,
Right.
and the venomous spines look the same as like the pelvic fins, as the fan.
Right.
So like it's easy to get fooled by it
Yeah.
as a person who may know.
It's also a fish that learned how to feed on another fish that was the same size as it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, big fish eat little fish.
Yeah.
These guys, no.
Take that, nature.
These guys, I eat what I want.
Yep. And I want to eat your belly. Yeah. Clown triggers, man. Good call.
Yeah.
I like it.
This was another fun thing about him was he would like I have no other way how to describe it other than he would absentmindedly chew on clamshells while he was doing other things.
Like a toothpick?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a guy with like a stick in his mouth. He would
Here,
swim around
see?
doing other things, and you could hear him chewing on it. Like,
Now, what's over here? Is that a shrimp? No.
Those are fish that you have to be careful what kind of power head you use or circulation pump you use in the tank because they will chew on power cords.
Yeah.
Just to they're like gerbils. They
Like
just wanna
puffers
chew.
with intention.
Intention, yes. Yes. That's exactly the way to say it. Intention and some level of intelligence. Not enough to not eat power
I
cords.
wouldn't even say intelligence. I would say pufferfish with the determination to follow through.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, that's the only fish in that tank. It was a massive tank. And honestly, walking in the room, I was like, oh, weird. But then when that week was, when they came back, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
You only need that one.
That's it. Yeah. When you got a fish like that.
It's like having a dog that you can keep in a box. Like, a lot easier to clean up after.
Yep. Can I talk about Bruce now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time. I'm still sad about Bruce, but not like Pie. I mean, Bruce was a long time ago now. That now I can speak fondly of Bruce.
Because the problem is they all leave us eventually.
They do. Yep. Bruce was an orbiculate batfish, which is not a fish I recommend to anyone. It is a fish that does not belong in the hobby. They are going to get 18 to 20 inches in diameter, and they are a pelagic fish. So they're a reef cruiser. They will travel in large groups, long distances.
Yeah. Like for comparison, the triggerfish, 20 inches long, maybe 6 or 8 tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a circle.
Circle. Right. This is a massive fish. And Bruce
Dinner
was
plate of a fish.
Yeah.
Bruce was close
Bigger.
to 16 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a massive fish. He was in a 240 quarter cylinder tank. So it had a lot of wide open area, and there was very little decor in the tank, in with a couple of sharks. Bruce came to us because a different store that shall not be mentioned sold it to this guy for his 100-gallon aquarium.
Ugh.
And said, this is a perfect fish for your 100-gallon tank.
Ugh.
In this guy's defense, at that time, this was, the internet was kind of new. It wasn't like you could just go research everything. And he went down and he trusted his local fish store to say, hey, this would be a great fish for my tank.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame the guy.
Right. And he did a great job with this fish for about 1.5 years and came to us and said, okay, I see that tank. I see maybe this is a possibility. I don't know what to do with this fish. At this point, the fish was close to 12 inches in a 100-gallon tank.
Wow.
And he said, will you take him? And we have the same philosophy here. If we can pull it off, we will take a fish that, even if it's considered inappropriate for the hobby, we will do our best to try to find a good home for it. So that's what we did with Bruce. And it was in like this tank that was in the center of the store. I mean, everybody paid attention to Bruce. He just had that big, beautiful eye. He was one that we had to train him to like being petted. But we did.
Yeah.
You could hand feed him. He would immediately come up, and some people could pet him, some people couldn't. But I was definitely one of those people that I could pet Bruce.
We just had people in last month who had been out of the hobby probably since you left that store that were like, oh yeah, we used to go around there. We remember Bruce.
Aww.
He still has a legacy.
That's good. I'm glad. Bruce was very cool. Super fun, super interactive. All of those things, Amy, that you said, this is the qualifications for a pet fish. Tick, 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 tick. When you unlocked the door to the store, you could look all the way down the hallway, and you could see Bruce. He's like, here you are. Like greeted you like a puppy dog when you came in. Get all excited. Yep. Bruce was cool. Bruce also jumped out.
Seeing
And
a theme here.
yeah, and he was one of those that we had him in that tank for 2 years, 3 years, maybe even. No idea that was even a possibility. So
Yeah, it's something like I really want to hone down to people. Literally any fish can jump. The one to this day that I'm still like, what the hell was when we were babysitting that one lionfish for that guy.
oh yeah,
It managed to jump out.
that's right,
Now,
a
luckily,
lionfish.
It was. I was standing right there when it happened.
Yeah,
Lionfish was fine, but this was a near full size Volitans lionfish, and I didn't even think that with that much drag,
yeah.
it could get the momentum to do that.
I wouldn't have thought it was physically possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything jumps.
Everything jumps.
Don't have an open top tank. We have an open top tank here.
We do.
I'm still nervous about it.
I know. Yeah. Okay, batfish. I do not recommend batfish.
Are there
one
any
should keep.
appropriate batfish?
Not for a home aquarium. I mean, this is a fish. This fish should be in a 2,000 or 3,000 gallon aquarium.
I mean, this is a good one to clear up because everybody has seen that clip on Facebook or YouTube or whatever of the black fish with the crazy bright orange rims on its fins, crazy flowy alien monster.
That's a juvenile pineatus batfish. And that color changes completely, and they turn into a fish that looks just like Bruce.
So a silver dinner plate
Yes.
that's going to get 18 inches long.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep. If anybody out there has a batfish that they can't take care of anymore, we will give it a good home. But-
yeah, right?
I love
we
that
could
fish
use
so
some
much.
fish in that Shark Tank.
Yeah, I love that fish so much that I've seen him on fish wholesale lists. I'm like, I can't. Sometimes it's tempting, but I will not order one.
Yeah, our 360 really isn't big enough.
No.
We get questions about a lot, like why are those 30-inch sharks okay in there? Why is a 24-inch batfish not?
It's all about lifestyle. Yeah. A 3.5-foot moray eel would be fine in that tank.
Right.
Yep.
I would almost feel comfortable putting like a 4.5, maybe pushing 5-foot moray eel in there. You know?
Yeah. They have
Yeah,
such a sedentary lifestyle.
With nice
it's fine.
rock work that they can really wind up into.
Yeah.
But like, and people look at those sharks and that porcupine puffer we have.
Yeah, that porcupine puffer does not belong in
24-inch fish versus 30-inch fish, but totally different lifestyle.
Yes.
Most puffers do not make great tank companions.
It's true.
Some puffers make excellent tank companions.
They do.
Well, now that Allie's left, we can talk about her. I didn't do it on purpose that way, but the timing did just line up perfectly.
Come down to the gallery and meet our favorite puffer person, Allie.
Aw, she's been doodling. She drew an
She drew a
angelfish.
Bruce. Let me see
it's
that.
Bruce. Aw.
I think it's an angel.
It's got stripes like Bruce used to
It's
have.
so nice to see her drawing.
Good.
Anyway, Allie is the crazy puffer lady. If you've been here, if you've met her, you know exactly what I'm talking about,
Yep.
and she wouldn't disagree.
Yep.
And she so has it right about puffers. I think a lot of people get them because, oh, look at them. They're looking at our eyeballs and they're looking at me and they like me. And, you know, they just look so cute. And I think that was the first draw. But now if anybody asks, Allie will be like, oh, they're dumb puppy dogs. All they care about is food. And they're going to do anything that they can to get to it.
Yeah.
Because puffers are not this hyper intelligent fish, but they are so focused. They're so
Very
human focused. They're
driven.
so food driven.
And they got those big eyes.
Yeah. For me, the Tobies, like what Allie has, are perfect. Especially as a pet fish in a small tank. I think you can do one of these like the Valentini in a 30-gallon
for
tank.
sure.
If it's on its own, especially, like, you can really tune into it. You can really make it a very true pet. They're so interactive. They're so responsive. They're not shy at all. And they will do anything for food.
They're basically like a swimming head.
Yes.
Like if you cut somebody off the neck,
Yeah.
slap a tail on the back of your head, right? And turn your ears into fins. That's a puffer.
Yeah. There is something totally instinctive about us that says anything that looks like a baby needs to be cherished.
Yes.
And
Yes.
puffers fit that
Puffer.
perfectly.
The eyes, the disproportionately
So
large
cute.
cartoon eyes.
Just can't even be real.
Right.
Yeah. So most puffers are not going to be reef safe. You got to figure out
Right.
what they eat, which means that you do have to plan the tank around them. Even if you're doing one of the little ones, and Allie's tank is a great example where she plans every decision she makes for that tank around her Kai.
Yes.
And he rewards her with being the most fun, personable fish she could have put in that tank.
Absolutely. The webbed burrfish, to me, that's an acceptable puffer as well.
It's probably like a freshwater, saltwater, like the ultimate puffer.
I think so too.
Because it's the cutest.
Yeah.
Doesn't get too crazy big.
The spiny puffer, like the
Yeah.
classic puffer fish, that's the one everybody wants. But that's a 2-foot, possibly even 30-inch fish.
It's a 600 gallons is still too small, but maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. And that fish does not belong in the hobby.
No.
The web burrfish and the tobies that you're talking about, those are fantastic aquarium fish.
Mm-hmm. And different in their own way, but both great fish that are worth planning a tank around.
Cute swimming heads.
Don't feed them nearly as much as they ask.
Right. You do have to be aware of that beak. That beak grows and continues to grow, kind of like dogs' toenails. Our dog has to be walked constantly, so we often don't have to trim her toenails. Our dog before that didn't like walking and didn't like walking on cement, so we had to trim his toenails all the time. Why am I talking about my dog's toenails? Because a puffer's beak is the same way. If you don't feed it enough crunchy food, you're going to have to trim the beak.
Yeah. Unless it's really good about picking at rocks all the time. And if it's
Right.
looking at you, it's not picking at rocks.
Right. Yeah, they'll need some snails. They'll need some clams. What else are they going to need?
Mussels.
Mussels. Don't keep them with brittle starfish. We learned that the hard way when I was in Jamaica.
Oh, really? You
Yep.
got to see one eat a brittle star?
Well, we didn't see it eat the brittle star, but we saw what was left of the brittle star
Oh, no.
after we put the pufferfish in the tank.
That's the thing with puffers is it seems like it's pretty much just a question mark on what they eat. It's
Yeah.
probably everything.
I think that, they're slow,
Yeah.
right? And so a regular fish is going to, they're slow and lazy. So if a regular fish swims away, they're, oh, I can't eat you. I'll eat something else. A sea star? That's pretty much, hey, look at these wavy arms and legs sticking out. Yep, they're going to eat that.
And many of the corals too. It's bite first and ask questions later.
Mm-hmm. Just wanted to try it.
People do ask us all the time about the sharks. Do they bite?
Yeah.
And then immediately swing around, turn to the right, and go, oh, look at the baby.
Yeah.
I'm
Like-
that thing's like 10 times scarier than any shark
Yeah,
I've
it
worked
would
with.
take off your finger and not give a second thought about it.
I would not put my hand in the tank with that porcupine puffer. Not a chance.
Well, the porcupine even, like he's kind of shy, but that Stars and Stripes next to it, he's a monster. I
Yeah?
would be terrified of it.
Yeah.
Allie pets it.
That makes sense. Tell her she's not allowed to.
Puffers get the best names too. He's Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy. That makes sense. That's perfect.
We've gotten a couple of requests for Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin. I like that. Puffers, I think, might be the quintessential pet fish.
They are.
Like that's why you get a puffer. Mm-hmm. Some of the other fish evolve into being a pet. Puffers they come that
Yeah.
way.
Any fish can be a pet fish.
Yes.
Puffers are the quintessential.
Yeah.
And then there are some that you should totally consider.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's good. Charles, what's next on your list?
I think of the fish that I'm going to talk to tonight, I would argue that this is definitely the smartest. I in particular picked this one because I feel like this one's very accessible. They come in a really nice, convenient package. Atlantic pygmy angels.
That is the best, cutest little angelfish there is.
I everyone seems to gravitate towards the coral beauties, and I'll be honest, they just don't do it. They're gorgeous. They just don't do it for me because they're smart, but they don't seem to have the big angelfish personality in a small package like an Atlantic pygmy does. At least not to me. Like
I think there's something to that. I think part of it is a coral beauty is a dark colored fish with a dark colored eye.
That's exactly what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah. The eyes don't jump out at you. Whereas the pygmy angel, the eyes are defined.
that may be true, but I still like them better.
That's a valid enough reason right there, right? I mean, we're talking about opinion here, so
They're totally the peak of little dog syndrome, too.
Yeah,
they don't
heck yeah.
know how little they are.
right.
And I'm really excited about it in part because Brian, he got out of keeping tanks for a while and he got back in and he said, I'm going to do just one tank. I want it to be a reef tank and I want my showpiece fish to be an Atlantic pygmy angel.
That is a valid showpiece tank. Showpiece.
Yeah.
He pared down. He had a whole bunch of freshwater tanks. He was trying to breed. He was trying to do whatever. And he needed to just reset. This is the tank that's just fun.
Yeah. And what a perfect fun fish for it. How big of a tank is he going with?
It's a 20.
Perfect.
And this tank is designed for that angel. And
I love it.
I'm really excited about this right now because he took the angelfish home a week ago.
Nice.
This is an angelfish that we had a couple different angels in,
Uh-huh.
and he was asking, requesting very nicely one with a specific personality. And I was like, this is the one for you.
That's one of the advantages of the quarantine around here. We get to know the fish individually, and yeah.
Came in today,
Oh, that's perfect.
and he was just like, I was like, so how's the angelfish settling it? He goes, oh my God, I love him. He's amazing.
Like it's already out and about. He's already totally just besotted with that fish.
That's perfect.
And to me, that story is exactly encompasses everything that makes an Atlantic pygmy angel amazing to me.
The whole group of fish that are angelfish can fit into that category if you work with them, because they are so smart.
Boredom with angelfish is something that I worry about a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think that's legit.
Because they are wicked smart.
Yeah.
That's when they start getting into trouble, start eating stuff they maybe shouldn't, start picking around and moving rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
No angelfish can be considered 100% reef safe. The Atlantic pygmy, to me, is they get the highest rank for reef safeness. Coral beauty is second. Atlantic pygmy is
until they decide they want to eat coral, and then they're not.
It could happen. I'm not ruling that out, but
I've never heard of a pygmy angel. Like I've never heard anybody have that experience.
Part
Coral
of it might
beauty,
be they're so small
maybe
that you just don't see. But coral
they
beauty
only
for sure.
ate 5 zoas.
Yeah,
Not all of them.
or 5 tentacles off of one zoa.
Right.
To me, that's just another selling point for them, though.
They're so good.
Charles and his favorite zoanthids. 3 species in that complex: the Atlantic pygmy, the Brazilian flameback, and the African flameback. They are all Atlantic angels, though.
It's true. They're all gorgeous, too.
Yeah.
The flamebacks do have a very similar face. I've never really associated that before. I didn't realize they were in the same complex.
They are. The yellow just goes all the way back. And it's yellow on a Brazilian and orange on an African.
And they're just a little bit bigger, right?
A little bigger and a little less reef safe. Yep.
Although we've been playing around with and what is reef safe, which fish are.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that upcoming podcast, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Grow more coral and maybe you won't notice.
Right.
Is that the conclusion?
You know what? I think that there are a lot of fish that we put in reef tanks that occasionally nip and we just don't notice.
Yeah.
I think it's the case with most of the angels, but I think it's the case with some of the tanks too.
Oh, absolutely. And the lips on our coal tang will tell you that because he likes to pick at the pallies sometimes. And then he gets that bee sting look.
I have to 100% agree with you because in my mind, there's just no way they're not. In my head, when someone asks me, what's the most reef-safe fish? I say a purple firefish because they don't even come from a reef. They come from the rubble zone just outside of it.
Yeah.
So they have no reference point for what even a coral is.
Right.
Everything on a reef knows what a coral is.
Yeah. Everything that pecks at a rock might accept a coral.
Yeah. A grouper, very reef safe.
Yeah.
Dotty back, cardinal fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All gulping predators for the most
predators, even if they gulp little things.
Someone a few years ago sent me photos of, he was like, is this normal? Should I be worried? He had a pair of dottybacks that were living inside of his tridactyl clam.
Cool.
And I was
that's
like,
cool.
no, that's not normal, but you should be really excited about it because it's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I like it.
Yeah. Definitely glad you brought up that one.
Oh, wait, it's my turn, and I don't remember what my next fish is. Hang on. I have to get to
you
my
haven't
notes.
talked about an angelfish yet.
Yeah, surprised I beat you.
Me too.
Where's my...
Angels just seemed like such of a given.
That's why I didn't do angels. Oh, I know who I'm talking about, because I like to go with names. So, Amy, list your criteria again.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Slowly,
forget.
like one at a time.
Interactive.
Nope.
Outgoing.
Nope.
Singular.
Yes.
Human focused.
Nope.
Interesting.
I'm already sold.
Okay, maybe a little interactive, but not a lot. But definitely a pet, and definitely a tank you design around it.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Lumpy.
Oh, but she might not be interactive, but you will know when she's upset at you.
She will flap her little angler lure like
And every
rapidly.
once in a while, maybe glance at you out of the corner of her eye.
Right.
My favorite is when she's like really, like you get her really annoyed, and she decides she needs to look in your direction. And she slowly positions her fins so that she can rotate herself around and stare at you.
I've never felt so much sass from something that does not move.
So Lumpy is an anglerfish. And she's in one of our coral displays. So there you go. There's talk about a coral safe fish.
Yeah, there's
Right.
nothing more coral safe than a frogfish.
Right. Yeah.
As somebody chimes in, my frogfish ate my coral.
No, it didn't. That one I wouldn't believe.
That one I wouldn't believe at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. But as far as tank mates with Lumpy, they got to be a lot bigger than Lumpy,
A lot.
but not so big that they would eat Lumpy. Anglerfish are capable of eating something remarkably large.
Yeah, their size are bigger.
Right.
And so Lumpy is, the common name I know is the common frogfish. Is there a better one?
That's the only one
think-
that I've heard.
Is this the Commercini?
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine if you looked in like scientific literature, they would be named Commercins. Only because that's a guy.
Right.
So it's either a 5-inch fish or an 18-inch fish, depending on whether it's male or female.
Right.
Lumpy is about 5 inches right now.
And hasn't grown in a while.
Yeah, but I'm not ready to give up. I really want it to be a female.
Yeah.
We decided May is the cutoff, right?
May?
If it hasn't grown until and in May, it's Lumpy, not Lumpette.
Lumpy, not Lumpette. I'm gonna have to always refer to Lumpy as she.
Of course,
It
just makes sense to
just
me.
works. Yeah, I'm fine with that ambiguity.
So, but that's basically either a 29-gallon tank or a 90-gallon cube.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Right. There are a couple other different species of frogfish / anglerfish.
There are some that get 4 to 6 inches long.
Yeah, I used to have sargassum fish when I was down in Florida. And they were amazing. They look like sargassum weed. So some highlights about anglerfish. They hardly ever swim. They climb. Their fins look like hands. And they use those to climb around on stuff. When they do swim, they don't swim with their tail. They use jet propulsion from their gills.
And really, that's like behind their pelvic fins.
Yeah.
So basically, they shoot jets out of their armpits, and that's how they swim.
Yeah, that's about right. Now, when we're talking about jet propulsion, some of you may be picturing speed. Take that idea and then flip it completely around. Right? Like maybe you'd put a squirt gun on a 747, and that's the propulsion that an anglerfish has.
Like those scooters that tourists use, like in the Caribbean, where it's like a tourist from a cruise just kind of scooting around on a little thing.
Yeah, almost like a Segway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But clumsier.
Yeah. Like when she falls off of a rock, and sometimes it's intentional, she wants to go somewhere else. It's like Sandra Bullock in Gravity, just like drifting off into space. Take me, I will show up somewhere else eventually.
It's almost like a pug in slow motion tumbling downstairs.
But funny, and the pug's okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh
One
boy.
time she was like really high up on the rockwork, and she just like let go, and she like slowly floated down, and me and Allie were just sitting there being like, no.
We do have a little thing in the store, a Where's Lumpy sign. Like we said, Lumpy is a 5-inch fish in a 100-gallon tank, and sometimes she's very difficult to spot. And we're saying 5 inches. It's not 5 inches long. It's not 5 inches tall. It's 5 inches in every direction you can think of. Think of a 5-inch ball. That's Lumpy. She mimics coral. She mimics live rock very, very well.
Yeah, and she has changed to mimic live rock. She was yellow when we got her.
Yeah.
So over time, she knows that she can blend in really well as a white piece of live rock with a little bit of cyanobacteria on it.
And you meant purple coralline algae. There's no cyanobacteria in a tank.
Some pretty red coral.
Come on, Amy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotta love Lumpy. Had to talk about Lumpy.
Lumpy won't let us forget our failures. She'll wear it.
With a
Out of
badge of
spite.
honor. Oh, wait. Yeah, out of spite. That's it.
I love that fish so much.
She's cool.
Ridiculous.
Yep. She's silly.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, a fish that does nothing, that has more personality than anything else.
She often
Then
makes,
some of our customers.
yeah,
Oh, wait.
She often makes me think of like the cartoon old man that's you only ever see in the rocking chair on the porch, and he's like, "Hey, you kids,
Get off my lawn.
yes,
You do that one more time, I might just have to get up. Oh, lumps.
Lumpy. All right, Amy, what you got?
All right. Well, to me, I couldn't talk about pet fish without talking about the fish that look back at you. Hawkfish.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Our
oh,
guys
yeah.
are my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
For a pet fish, totally. They've got that fully articulating neck. They've got that expression, that clown-like face. They get a little bit bigger than some of the other common hawkfish, and they're absolute jerks. So if you're gonna have it, you better love it, because you're not getting much else in that tank.
The neck is the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's like how many fish, like, you see fish look around with their eyes or they turn their whole body, but hawkfish use their neck.
Yeah, to give you that side eye of, what are you doing?
I like a long nose personally, but our guys,
I like the long nose because they can go with other fish easily. But if I'm like, all right, you get a 90-gallon tank, you have to pick a hawkfish, you only get one fish in that tank, it's an arc eye to me.
I think that's a pretty solid choice.
And it's because we had one that was here for forever.
Yeah.
And I loved that fish. He
was
was
a-
so sweet. You could get hand fed. I always wanted to train a hawkfish to just come and sit in my hand because it would be really cute.
Like a little bird.
And I bet you could do it.
Probably.
If you're going to do it, an arc eye is a good one to start with.
yeah." I can't argue that.
That's a good group of fish to identify as pet fish because it's attainable.
Yeah.
You know, a flame hawk is going to max out about 4 inches. And that can actually go with a lot of different fish. And they're going to get a lot of the personality. They have the neck. They have the articulated eyes that are going to look at you like a chameleon.
Yeah. And don't keep shrimp.
Don't
That's
keep
really the
shrimp.
limitation. So
Right.
if you're looking for a pet fish for your tank, a hawkfish is probably within reach.
You're going to find them perched. That's why they're called hawkfish. In all kinds of crazy different places in your tank. I love the way our longnose perches on the leather coral.
I love the way that he perches on literally anything that is the closest thing to a human being, just in case they have food.
Oh yeah, he photobombs for sure.
Yes. And if you're working in the tank, you will find him like trying to tread water next to you. Like, oh, bud, just go sit down.
They're not very good swimmers.
No.
No.
We had a class of high schoolers in, and it's always fun for me to get those groups and to see what kind of questions they ask. And like, it was such a good direct question that one of the kids asked, "Why is that fish so lazy?" Everybody else is up and swimming, and that one's just like, meh. They actually have a less developed swim bladder.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
It's not lazy. It's by design. They had to give up a swim bladder so they could have a neck.
They had to really cash in those evolution points.
We each have. That was your last one, right?
Yeah, that was my last one. I have a couple of alternates.
You
though.
do?
I've got one more good one.
You've
though.
got one more good one.
Mhm.
Let me see what I have left.
Yeah, one of mine just says any angel, so I think we got there.
We got that covered.
And I think we only have one that I haven't even mentioned.
I got one more good one.
Okay.
Unless Charles steals it. Go ahead, Charles. Make my day.
Steal it.
I put down clownfishes, literally any of them.
How can it
Yeah,
be a
you're
pet
not-
fish if it bites me?
Sometimes that's their charm, though.
Yeah.
Like if you're that small and that feisty.
You gotta respect that a little bit.
Clownfish swing wild. Like the skunk clowns are usually pretty timid. They're really chill. They can go in basically any community tank where something can't eat them. And then on the complete other side of the spectrum would be like a maroon clown, where it's like honestly, I think if I ever did a saltwater tank again, I would do a maroon clown just because there's just something so endearing to me of something that's that ornery 24/7.
There was a store years ago. We're talking, so when I was in college, so that was, well, let's go back to the years ago that had, it was a 180-gallon tank, and they had a clown trigger and a 9-inch maroon clown.
Oh man,
The clown trigger was nervous around the maroon clownfish.
I would be nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Like that feeling of you having that trigger swim over to you. That would be my feeling putting my hands in the tank with the maroon clown.
Mm-hmm.
If it has an anemone, I'd just be ready to lose my hand.
Yes. Yeah, they're amazing.
My most recent clownfish I had was the blue stripe, and she's in the store now. She's ridiculous because I have never met such a timid female clownfish. And it resulted in some really weird, quirky behavior. So, if you've never heard about this pair, I brought home a pair of blue striped clowns, and at one point, like a year and a half in, she just decided to off the male. No warning. I have no idea. Whatever.
She finally worked up the courage.
Yeah. It was one of those things that was so funny because she would like you would be working in the tank and she would be hiding in the rockwork and the male would be with her because, oh, well, the big female's hiding. I should hide too, right? So then you could see after a while she would get like kind of bored and be like, is it safe to come out? So she would literally be like, all right, I'm going to push you out. I'm going to see if you survive.
Yeah.
And if you're fine, then I'll come out. And I was like, really? You're literally just going to be like, just going to sacrifice him? You like literally, like in nature, your one job is to protect him. That's why you're the bigger one.
Right.
No,
right.
you go first.
Yep. What a weird fish.
But it's such a great illustration because every clownfish is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Personality-wise, accessibility-wise, that combination right there makes clownfish just like there's a reason almost every saltwater tank out there has clownfish in it. Big ones, little ones, everybody's got them.
To me, clownfish are the closest thing the saltwater hobby comes to bettas. Like,
It's true.
Like,
Yeah.
they are as close as you get to being that accessible in saltwater when it comes to fish.
It's the fish everybody thinks of when they think of a saltwater tank.
And they should.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fish that I don't know that there's another fish that's more custom ready for captive life. Right?
Yeah.
In the wild, they don't stray from their anemone. Like 18 inches from their anemone, 2 feet for a lot of species.
Yeah.
You know, like an 18-inch tank then is as big of a territory as that fish is ever going to have in the wild. It's hard to argue with the acceptability of a clownfish in captivity.
It's really hard.
They're going to live 25 to 30 years. The commitment there is real.
Yeah. Now the acceptableness of the anemone,
Well, there's yeah.
you don't have to keep them together. Don't worry.
Right.
Trust me. The clownfish in our anemone tank like to host in a little dish in the sand. So
They prefer that over the actual anemones.
Yeah.
they care more about people at this point in their evolutionary chain from wild fish to ubiquitous aquarium fish that they don't really. It takes a long time for them to figure out what that is.
Right.
They care more about you than they care about an anemone.
Well, and the fun thing about clownfish is there's enough of them out there, enough varieties out there that there's a clownfish for everybody. There's the funky ones that look like cows. There's the funky ones that look like normal clownfish. Everything in between.
Amy likes to tease me sometimes for being almost like. How would she describe this? Like,
She teaches you about a lot of things, so you know.
Gotta
it's hard
narrow
to
it
focus
down
on
a
just
little
one.
bit.
like, well, in this particular case, it's about the way that I'm almost like instinctively contrarian, just to be contrarian.
No,
Yeah.
you don't do that.
No, never. But then I look at clownfish, I'm like, no, they're as popular as they would be. Like I
They should
can't
be.
argue that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can make a stand against goldfish any single day, but no one has an argument against clownfish.
I got nothing.
No.
They earned it.
I have definitely had people that come into the shop and try to argue that, clownfish are just too common. I don't want one. They're missing it.
Then get one of the uncommon ones?
I think that's a little bit like the equivalent of not liking a band anymore because they became popular. Right? They're the greatest saltwater fish.
No, Ben, I don't like the band because they put their music on my phone without asking me.
Well, okay. They did that to you too, huh?
Sorry, it's too easy.
I know.
These guys.
But yeah, clownfish. If
Yes.
you don't like them because they're popular, you need to rethink some things in your life.
Just a bit.
Find
Yes.
a different species.
Yeah, or like something because you like something,
Yeah.
not because of what everybody's going to think about you.
Now, I generally think wild fish are cooler or wild type fish are cooler.
Yep.
But it's tricky for me to beat just the regular old clownfish.
Good old classic orange ocellaris.
The one that really does it for me is the lightning maroon. That one just for me, for some reason, just captures that it's technically a wild type.
Yeah.
It still looks like a designer clown, and man, do they back that up with personality?
Oh,
Yeah. And they have a great story. They're also a crazy cool genetic mutation. They do have a little bit
It's
of
that
everything.
perfect storm of crazy little details that just makes me really like them.
I'm very torn between the McCullochais.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is because McCullochais were a holy grail fish for me. I wanted them for a long time, and now we have this amazing pair. So
Right.
I'm torn between those and the Sequest original onyx.
Oh yeah,
That is a gorgeous clownfish. And a natural strain. It's naturally occurring.
So, fun fact: native to the Solomon Islands.
Yes. Yes.
See, me, I like it easy. It's a regular orange ocellaris or a Clark's.
And I can't argue with either one of those.
No.
They're great.
And if you say, oh, well, only the, I don't know, what's a rare one? Like the Ophipium are the cool ones. Yeah, you're probably right, too.
Yeah. It's true. Amphibian's a tomato, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember. There's a
McCullochais
couple
are-
of that have a really
Yeah.
oh, you're never going to see this type thing. And I get that, too.
Echidnos, the McCullochais.
Oh, maybe echidnos
and
is the
Lukes.
the E name that I was thinking.
Yeah. That's an A, though. It's ALK or something like that. But, I mean, the McCullochais we have that's a very rare.
Yeah, and to actually have a pair that sort of gets along.
They, get along like.
She kicks them out on the couch once in a while.
Right.
Funny development as of today. She kicked him out on the couch, as in, she was living in the anemone, he was living in the Duncan. Well, the anemone decided to off itself. I don't know if you noticed yet, but now she's living in the Duncan. He's got to go find another spot.
What happened to the anemone?
It died. It chose to. I don't know. It just crawled up and died.
Weird. All right.
I had fed it literally. It was eating krill one after the other from me last week, and then it just decided to disappear.
Anemones are annoying.
Yes, they are. Clownfish aren't, though.
I have
Some are.
a stupid fun fact.
Okay.
Do you know what species of clownfish Nemo was?
So everybody tries to claim that he was a percula.
Mm-hmm.
The striping and the way he looks, I don't think so.
But perculas are native to the Great Barrier Reef. Ocellaris aren't.
The striping doesn't quite look percula striping, though. I think it looks more like a maroon, personally.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. But, I didn't
just
draw
wanted
him.
to poke at it
I
and
don't
see
know.
what you'd say.
I like
'Cause-
poking at that movie.
A perk's supposed to have thicker black margins, right?
Not
Theoretically.
necessarily, and not all populations do, but some do. Right.
Actually, the Great Barrier Reef population has very thin black margins.
Yeah. The Solomon Island strain has very thick black margins.
There aren't too many groups that invite freshwater level fish geeks into them, but clownfish totally do.
It's a true story.
It's your turn, Ben.
Last but not least, we had to mention all of the fish in the shop that are pet fish. Granted, we touched on this category a little bit already, but somebody did not get mentioned, and somebody needs to get mentioned in this discussion. Of the fish in this category, it's the most boring one.
Yeah.
We already talked about clownfish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn anyway. No, I'm just kidding. We can't not talk about Wookiee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Wookiee.
Yep.
She is my single favorite fish in the store.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. She's not mine. I love her. She's great.
I love her.
Yep. So Wookiee is a northern wobbegong, which is a species of shark. When we say northern wobbegong, all of us think, oh, cold water. Northern Australia, warm water. She's probably pretty close to maximum size for the species, which is about 20 inches.
Yeah, that species can get a little bit bigger, but I honestly think she's the equivalent of someone that's like 5'1". Like, I think she's done.
Yeah. She's small.
Yeah, it's like if you could combine our other sharks and Lumpy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
personality-wise.
Yeah.
She is so stubborn.
She is.
I have never met a fish that was this determined to prove you're wrong.
Well, she's an ambush predator,
Yeah.
which it means most of the time she sits and waits.
Yeah.
But to the point where if people are doing a water change in the tank, she would rather suffocate than move.
Yeah, as water level lowers, she just like keeps angling her head back further.
Like, fine, I dare you. Sure, empty the tank, see what happens. I don't know if anybody's dared to at this point.
No, not with
Because
Wookiee.
if you're playing chicken with a wobbegong, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the Wookiee win is pretty appropriate at this point.
The only reason she's not on my list is because I feel like this like falls into a similar category for me as the puffer, where it's a very specific personality of person that really enjoys this thing.
Right.
There's not a mass appeal of this organism.
But on the other hand, if you can find one, if you can maintain the water chemistry, I think a 125 is enough.
Oh, yeah.
I would even go 120. I'd go with a 4x2 tank.
Oh, yeah.
No problem.
The 4x2
Ambush
would
predator.
actually be probably better than
Yeah.
the 6x 18.
6x18, yeah. Yeah. She came to us, and it's kind of a fun story with how she came to us. There was a woman who was a regular customer who did not get Wookiee from us originally, but got one of our other sharks from us, that was doing sharks right. She had a 450-gallon tank, came in, bought all kinds of fresh seafood for them, had a big, huge water changing system. She had an amazing setup for her sharks. And she came to me one day because she had to move. She was going to go be a traveling nurse, and like I don't know what to do with my sharks. And that's actually where Rufus came from. But Wookiee also came in the same way. And what we told her was, look, we're not going to be able to buy Wookiee from you because we're not going to be able to find somebody for Wookiee. Maybe. So we made an arrangement that if we ever sell Wookiee, I'm going to send her a check. I don't think we'll ever sell Wookiee. And we have Wookiee priced very high because you're going to need to want Wookiee really bad to give the shark the life the shark deserves. So you're going to be vetted. And all that. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but we want Wookiee. If
We
you really
do.
want her, come and talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody walk in there and say, I'll buy Wookiee and lay money on the table. No. Wait a minute here.
Hold on. Let's get in your car and go to your house
Yeah,
real
let's
quick.
see what your tank looks like.
I'm going to bring in every test vial I can find.
You say you're ready, I'll tell you when you're ready.
Yeah.
We love our girl.
We do. When she came in, it was interesting. So there's a condition among surfers in Northern Australia called wobbie hand. That means you have a wobbie on your hand, right? Not in a good way. They're a predator that when they grab, they don't let go. Gila monsters do the same thing, right? They hold on, they don't let go. And so people will actually get all the way to the hospital and have the Wookiee or the wobbegong have to be pried off of their hand because that's what they do. They have a giant mouth.
If you've seen them eat, you understand it because
Yes.
the suction is amazing.
Yes.
And they go in, they don't go out.
Right. The mouth is so much bigger than the mouth compared to body size, so much bigger than any of the other fish that we have in the store. The mouth on that fish is just huge.
Yeah, the 30-inch bamboo sharks, their mouth is probably about 2 inches or so across. The 12 to 18 inch wobbegong, 10 inches.
I don't know, a bit. Like if you go the full.
In diameter.
She could.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could get my fist in her mouth. If
Oh,
she
she could.
absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah, she could. She could. So, the woman brought the shark down in one of those totes and said, "You can't use a net. I don't know how we're going to get Wookie in the tank." The net apparently got all tangled up. She's got this like sandpaper like skin that the net got all tangled. So this shark that I'm not afraid of sharks. I respect them, right? But I'm not going to put my hand near the business end of a wobbegong because I'm familiar with this term, wobbie hand. But I've had a lot of experience with these bamboo sharks and how tame and gentle and affectionate they can be. Maybe the wobbie's the same way. So I'm looking down at this tote and I just gently touched Wookie on the back and she just kind of moves a little gently, like, oh, that's kind of nice. No real anything. So I carefully, coming from behind, slid my hand under her belly, gently grabbed her tail, picked her up, slowly lowered her in the tank, opened my hand. She gently swam away. It was like beautiful. It was just like this. I went from, wow, we have a wobbie. What are we going to do with it? To, oh, I love this thing. This is an amazing creature. A little scary.
Yeah.
Our new employees are always terrified of Wookie
As
Yes.
they should be.
because we tell her if she bites you, she will not let go. She will die and you will be fired.
Yeah, if you get bit by Wookie, it is your fault.
It's just automatic. Nope, that's it. Get
That's
out.
it. Get out. You're done. Right.
I like her more than you.
Yeah. I'm not kidding about that. Just so y'all know, that's like a real thing. Fortunately, with the people we have, they have so much respect for Wookie
Yeah.
that they're like, I mess with that. So
She's so stubborn.
I know.
Did I tell you that for a while I was trying to train her to feed from a certain part of the tank because I was thinking that maybe like if I honed down to just this spot as the feeding corner, and maybe she would be less off-putting about doing water changes in the rest of the tank. And she had to have figured out what I was trying to do because her exact response was to pick the exact opposite corner of the tank and start chuffing at me. And that's where she would sit whenever I tried to do that. So that didn't last very long.
No, she's smart enough to figure that out. She looks like she's just sitting there aimlessly doing nothing, and therefore there's nothing going on upstairs. That nothing could be further from the truth.
Oh no, she's watching us.
She's watching us. She's aware. She's intelligent. She's doing what she needs to do, which at that point is nothing. But she's capable.
We've never had a fish before that I've had that like makes audible sounds for our benefit to let us know that it's unhappy.
That's true. Yeah.
And
she's cool.
Allie's adventures in doing water changes in that tank are just hilarious to listen to every single week.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Oh, this week, Wookie went over into the corner and just chuffed at me the whole time. This week, she decided she was going to suffocate herself. This week, she decided that she was going to chase after the hose and make sure that I knew not to do a water change. And it never works, but she's going to try every time to say, leave me alone.
Yeah. That's what ambush predators want, is to be left alone.
She's so funny.
Yes. I need to sit here and sulk and eat. So I want to hear about other people's pet fish.
Yes. And the nice thing about saltwater tanks is that, like, the reef environment seems to just drive individuality. Like a fish that can present itself above everybody else or in a different way does better. So any saltwater fish, I think, can be a pet fish. There's no fish like in a freshwater tank. It's hard for a neon tetra to distinguish itself. But most reef fish are just total individuals.
I agree. Yeah.
So I would love to hear your stories, to see some pictures. You can post them on the Facebook group. That's the Watercolors Aquarium Gallery podcast listeners. You can send a Facebook or Instagram message, or you can email us at podcast@watercolorsaquariumgallery.com. Love to hear your feedback. Love to see what's going on in your tanks and just connect with you guys. It's been really, really fun for us to interface with you a little bit and get to know all of our listeners around the world.
And maybe we have a t-shirt on watercolorsaquariumgallery.com of your favorite pet fish. So
There
you should
you
go there
go.
and check it out. Just in case it's there. If it's not there, let us know. Maybe we'll figure out how to do that too.
Yeah, if you've got a fish that you'd love to see us do in the styles that you see there, I'd do it. Ben would do it, I'm sure. We make the designs, so let's make it
Do
happen.
it a competition.
Woohoo.
I do not make the designs, so don't look at me.
Yes, he just judges the competition.
Yeah, I do.
So judgy. Well, thank you so much for listening. Let's have lots of fun and keep those hands wet.